Thank you so much, Fernanda, and thanks everyone else. It is so good to be here. I always love to be with Culture Days. So first, I just want to congratulate you for being here. You're taking a really amazing first step. So whether you've registered your event already or you're thinking about it or planning, I want to say you're in the right place because what we hope to do today is have you leave feeling empowered and equipped and encouraged to be able to present the best Culture Days event ever and to make sure that it really, really, really works for you. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about. So for my part of it, we're going to do a little marketing 101. Okay. So we're going to, regardless of whatever skill set you have or what level you're at, you can do this. You can promote your event in a way that makes people want to come, that makes it compelling and exciting. And that serves you year round, well beyond this time. And then for the second part of what I'll briefly talk about is just a really quick media relations class. So I'm going to equip all of you to be like a mini PR person and hopefully get some tips on how to approach the media confidently and hopefully get them to be engaged with your event. All right, so let's jump right in. So you might say, why market, right? The national office, we are doing a national marketing campaign. We do that every single year. So you will see press releases go out, you'll see stories go by, you'll see lots of different materials come out because we are really pushing it, right? We have wonderful partners who help us to spread the word in movie theaters and in transit spaces. And so lots of good stuff is going on. So you might say, do I need to do anything? Because you guys are kind of doing it all. So I should be good, right? Well, that's true. But at the same time, we want this to serve you. The number one thing we want at Culture Days is for you to feel empowered to do well and to thrive all year long. And so we want to give you the tools for you to do that. And Culture Days is a really great way to expose yourself to new audiences, to engage new people, and to be able to build a momentum that can serve you long afterwards, right? So why are we going to market? We're going to increase attendance at our events. We're going to increase awareness of your brand, your organization, whatever you do, whatever you're putting out into the world, more people are about to know about it. And you're going to create lasting connections, right? When we have wonderful experiences with the people that we interact and engage with, they remember you and they come back for more. And so that's what we're going to look for, right? All right. So there are two things that we want an audience to do. And an audience is anyone who would interact with you, engage with you. That is, who's interacted with you in the past. So let's say they've already participated in your workshops, they've already purchased your art, they're already a follower of yours. So we're talking to those. We're also talking to those people out there who maybe don't know about you yet, but would be really, really thrilled to be part of what it is you're putting out there, right? So that's what we're talking about. So the first thing we want them to do is to take notice, right? We want them to see us. We want them to know that we're here. But there is a second part, and we want them to take action, right? We don't just want someone to see it and say, well, that's nice. Have a wonderful time at Culture Days. We want them to say, oh, cool, I want to be there. I want to be part of it, or at least I want to know more, right? So how do we do that? There are so many ways to market, right? We're not going to get into all of the nuts and bolts of each way to market. There are so many different ways, and many of you are already quite good at it in your wheelhouse. And some of you are continuing to learn and get better every day. So what I want to say is whether your medium is video or social media, or you're a fantastic writer, whatever it is, I want you to keep these two things in mind when you're designing your marketing material. So number one, when you are promoting an event, you got to find that carrot, okay? You've got to find that thing, that it factor, that nugget, the thing that makes your event unmissable. You won't necessarily be the only one putting on the type of event you're putting on, right? Whether it's the format or literally what you're doing. However, no one does it quite like you. I always say this to folks, no one does it quite like you. So what is it about what you're putting on, what you're putting together for the audience, that they're going to say, gosh, that was like nothing else I've ever been to. That was so cool. What are you fulfilling for them, right? If there's something that somebody wanted to take part in, that they wanted to try, and you're providing it, you want to let them know this is a really great opportunity for you. And then the second part of that, once you find that carrot, is you want to find a way to say it in a really concise manner, right? Why? Well, this is a noisy world, right? There is a lot going on all of the time. All of us are pulled in many different directions every single day in so many different ways. Our attention is everywhere. And so for us to stop scrolling, to take notice, to take a moment, we've got to have something that really grabs our attention, and we don't have a lot of time to grasp that it's something that we want. So we have to learn to smooth that statement out into something that we can say in just a couple of sentences. All right. And number two, I want you to always keep your eye on the prize, and the prize is the audience. So even though we get really excited internally about some of the things that we are doing and that we're planning, we have to remember that it's all for them, right? What do they want to see? What do they want to know? What do they want to experience? Everything that you do, everything that you think about in terms of how you promote this event should answer those questions. So I want you to think about their expectations. What do they expect when they get there, right? Do they need anything? And then what info do they need to participate? We need to know things about logistics. And let's be for real, this is Canada, so we need to know about the weather. So we need to know if it rains, is this thing still happening, or is it postponed? What's going on? So people need to know information. Anything you can do to make it easy for someone to participate, right? We are lowering the barrier of participation by making sure that people have all the information they need. Is it great for kids? Is it great for older adults? Is it accessible? People need to know this information, and you want to make sure when we're marketing that we're sharing these things as well, because those are marketing tools in and of themselves. So as we continue to talk about, how do we seal that connection with the audience? These are the people we want to take notice and then take part. Clear beats clever. I say this all the time. I love a clever thing. Of course, I love things that are funny and exciting, but at the end of the day, I need the information I need, right? So if you can't be clever, be clear. Make sure that whatever you're conveying is easy to grasp and easy to understand. So we just mentioned that we want people to take action, right? We don't just want them to see it and say, that's nice, and keep going on with their day. We want them to do something. We want them to register, sign up, line up, buy a ticket, do something, right? What do you want them to do? Ask them. You have to tell them what it is you want them to do. So be very clear. Register here. Go here today. We will meet you on this side of the building. Be very, very clear about what you want people to do. Use clear, simple language, remembering that we have different mother tongues, that we have different abilities and different learning. And so the simpler, the better. It means more people can understand, all right? Maintain your personality. Sometimes when we're doing something really formal, even for myself, I'll start, maybe I switch from a paper to social media, and I'm saying utilize. I'm like, no, use. I meant use, so just remember to just speak like a real person. And then a little tip here is when you're sort of crafting these things, I recommend going outside of yourself and sometimes your organization. Hit up a friend, hit up someone else in the industry who's not working with you on this, but is doing something else in the same wheelhouse, and ask them, hey, does this sound okay to you? Can you understand this? Does it sound exciting? Do you get it? As soon as you read it, did you understand what it was you were going to get? And that's so helpful sometimes in helping us to craft a better message. Incorporate the key messages that we've put out. Every year we come out with ways of expressing what Culture Days even is in a really concise way, right? So you feel free to use those phrases and those words and those sentences within your own marketing materials. They are wonderful ways of just sort of cutting right to the chase in terms of what we're talking about. Answer those questions, calm people's concerns, and plan for every scenario. Okay, make sure that information is included. And you have someone who is not only excited about what they're going to encounter, but feels equipped. They feel like they're ready and they're going to make it. So moving forward, if we've got our message, we've got our little pitch, we know how we're going to say it, it sounds great, it sounds fun, it's going to be wonderful. Well, those messages actually have to physically get out, right? So we have to figure out, how does it get from our heads and from our computers and actually make it out to the people who need to see it and to hear it? And so now we're talking about marketing channels, right? So these are all things that are called different things in different realms. Today, they're called marketing channels, right? And it's simply, where are the places that you hang out, and that you interact with your audiences. Do you have a website? Are you on social media? Do you do some digital advertising? Do you run a blog? What is it that you do that lets people know, hey, I'm here, I'm doing something, and we're going to use those exact same channels to get this message out. So even though you're using those messages currently to serve your audiences, to engage with people, you're going to add Culture Days to your current mix. I don't recommend recreating or reinventing the wheel. If you're really, really good on Instagram, stick on Instagram and use it. If you've already got a blog established, wonderful. Work a few of these articles in that talk about maybe the behind the scenes or the lead up to the put on of the event. Now I put influencer there, and you might think, how does that apply here? Well, there are influencers in every realm. I know that our brain goes to someone who's maybe selling fantastic lip gloss, but there are influencers in every single realm. And there's also people just doing the stuff that you're doing too, or things that complement what you're doing. So in an example of using the hubs, the wonderful hubs that are being put together for Culture Days, and how that is a collaborative way of approaching it, you can do the very same thing with your marketing. Is there someone nearby physically who is doing something similar or complementary? Maybe you can work together. Maybe you can leverage each other's audiences, advertise to each other to raise the profile of both of you, right? Is there another organization who could share your content? Are there partners and friends who will just do that? It's not for an exchange, but they're just so proud of you, or they support you, and so they will then air your content as well. Traditional is print, radio, TV, and outdoor, out of home. Obviously, these are some of the most expensive ways to advertise, but I just want to also remind you, there's also cheap ways. A sign on your door is traditional advertising. A sandwich board is traditional advertising, but these are things that actually help, right? They catch foot traffic, right? They catch somebody who may not have been aware, but it's like, oh, cool, I didn't know that, but I saw your flyer. These are all different ways of working to make sure that people get the message that you're putting out. And don't be afraid to use all of them together, right? One should lead to another. Your social should push people to your website. Your website should make it really easy for people to register or to learn more about the event, right? We're pushing to the Culture Days website where they can get all of the information they need, build a calendar, register, and do everything at once, right? And so all of these wonderful things are working together to make sure that people know what to do, know where they're going, and are really excited about when they get there. And lastly, I just want you to make me a quick promise that you will spend a little bit of time working on the process. Because sometimes when we're working on all of the fun and sexy stuff for marketing, we forget that there are nuts and bolts to this. There is a way that these things need to actually make it to the light of day, and you are already really, really busy. You're already doing something. And this is something that is extra, right? So this is kind of like a little bit of extra work. So what's the best way to deal with it? Automate as much as possible. Do some planning and do some automation. Figure out ahead of time, what are you creating, right? What videos are you making? What posts are going up? What are you doing? Who's doing it? Exactly who? Who on the team, or for yourself, if it's just you, you're going to carve out a little time, right? To just work on these things, and then figure out when and where is it going to run. If you're able to use an automation tool like a social media scheduling tool or anything like that, I highly recommend it. Because it is wonderful to be able to set up some things to go while you're busy doing other things. Okay? All right. So time to put on our light PR hats. All right. And I don't want you to be afraid. Media relations does not have to be scary, and it isn't. The media is just a wonderful way for mass appeal, right? That's always been the pull of media, is that it is kind of still the best way to get in front of a whole bunch of people. Obviously, a lot of the other platforms and mediums we use are also wonderful at that, but traditionally speaking, it's still a really wonderful way of getting exposure that you did not pay for. I just want to say that very quickly, that this is editorial that we're looking for. If anyone asks you to pay, we're into paid content, and that's a different story, and that's in your marketing budget. That's something totally different. So we're talking about earned media. That is when you just ask the media, hey, do you think you'd be interested in this story? And they say, yeah, sure, we'll send somebody out. There is never any funding that changes hands. So I just want to put that out there. So media relations is just two things. It's the pitch and the ask. Okay, so the pitch, remember I told you about that carrot and about those two sentences? Well, bring those back out because they're going to be really perfect for the pitch. This is where you're saying, I have a really interesting story for you. You're going to want to cover it and share it with your viewers, your readers, your followers. This is going to be an interesting thing for them, right? So really, it's just a little story. It's saying, hey, we have this wonderful thing that we're putting on. It's going to be visual and fun or colorful or wild, whatever it is, you find those nuggets that make it a compelling and interesting story, and you're putting it together in just a few sentences to share with a media person who may or may not decide, hey, yeah, that sounds great, and I'd love to come. When you're putting the pitch together, you want to make sure it's tweaked a little bit for each media outlet and each person who you're sending it out to. Now, I know that sounds daunting. It would be so much easier, right, if we could just do the one pitch and send BCC to 50 different people, right? That would be fantastic, except that a lot of those journalists would ignore it completely. First of all, they'd know it wasn't personalized, and they'd also know that you'd sent it to lots of other people. And so maybe one of those people will pick it up, therefore I'm no longer interested. So you want to do just a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of personalization, get their name right. Make sure you're pitching to someone who's on the right beat. So that is, they actually cover the thing that you're pitching to them. And make sure that the outlet is right for you. So I'd also like you to think here about the type of outlet that you're pitching to. Is it a visual medium? So is it television? Fantastic. Your pitch needs to be visual. They need to be able to visualize what it is you're talking about. Make sure that you make it very vivid. Is it something for audio? Is it radio or a podcast? Then it should be very compelling, whatever the person's talking about, right? And the person should be really, really wonderful with just their voice, right? We're not talking about adding any other bells and whistles to what they're saying. So just making sure that when you're pitching, it makes sense. Make sure to include relevant details like the date, the time, the location, the logistics, right? These are things that they might need to know. And I highly, highly, highly recommend putting together a lot of this stuff ahead of time. So before you head out and start trying to pitch, gather your high resolution photos, decide who on the team would be a spokesperson or would make a comment or do a quote if it should come to that. Put together any background information about your organization, or make sure that your about page or one of those sort of resources is up to date so that you can direct the person there. And that's just to help fill out the story, right? Sometimes when a story is picked up, they're going to say, this is great. I'm going to need a few more pieces of information, and you should be able to just very quickly send that stuff forward. So once you've got the pitch, you're going to do a little research now, because now you're figuring out exactly who am I pitching to, right? So we talked about personalizing the pitch. So now you're doing a little bit of research. You're going to look for some names. You're going to look for some contact numbers. You're going to look for some email addresses, because we have to get in front of people. As much as you can, you want to get in front of an actual human being. Okay, and I know this is very, very difficult. It's increasingly difficult, but the internet is still full of all of this information. A lot of times when you go to the website of a station or a publication, it will share the types of people or email addresses or phone numbers that you should contact depending on what it is you're doing. Make sure that you do the right one, that you go for the right one. Usually ones that are about media relations or story pitches, make sure that you're going down that road as well. And here's another little tip. The phone, because we hardly use the phone anymore, if you call the reception of a lot of different stations or places, you will at least get pushed into the right direction. Okay, so someone that will get you the name or an email address that you're looking for and couldn't quite snag on the internet. All right, so now it's time for the ask. So we want to pitch the right person in the right way. And what does that mean? It simply means you don't want it to go into the abyss. You want to make sure that you're sending it to someone who is, again, as much as you can, a real live human being, and that they're the right person, so that it doesn't just go into their inbox and go away. These are extremely busy people. who get lots and lots and lots of emails and phone calls every single day. And so frankly, if something doesn't fit, if you're lucky, they may, forward it to the person who's correct. And if in most cases, they'll simply ignore or delete it. So we want to try to make sure that we're getting to the right person and that we're getting to them in the way that they prefer. So a lot of journalists, you can contact them on Twitter or by email, largely speaking. So industry-wide, email is still the favorite way to be contacted for journalists. Calling them is kind of annoying. Although for some, it's okay if you follow up with a call. Okay, that's okay. Help them see your pitch. There, I'm hearkening back to the personalization, right? Make sure that they can see it. So is it for television? Make it visual. We're going to have a crowd in the back. There will be some color, some rainbow flags in the back. And then we're going to have some kids dancing in the front, whatever. Tell them what they need to hear so that they understand, oh, I can see it. I think our viewers will really enjoy that. Okay, so make sure that they can see what it is you're pitching. The timing matters, okay? For timing, I simply mean if sometimes we're victims of timing and sometimes we can use timing to our advantage, okay? So victims of timing, a heavy news cycle. If something is going on big in the world, and there almost always is, isn't there? Then that might not be the day to pitch, right? If a breaking news story that sort of affects Canada or affects your province or territory or affects the world or your community, it might not be a great day to pitch, just depending, right? So just watch your timing as well. And then lastly, follow up. Don't be afraid to follow up. Give them a few days. And if you don't hear anything back, it could simply be that they've gotten quite busy and missed your email. And sometimes by circling back, it's happened for me many times, simply by circling back and saying, hi, I just wanted to bring this back to the top of your inbox and see if you would be interested. Thank you so much. Looking forward to hearing from you. And they'll say, oh my goodness, thank you so much. I was really, really busy and I kind of put it aside and forgot. So thanks for bringing it back up. So don't be afraid to follow up. If you have followed up once and not heard anything, I would leave it. If they followed up and they've said no, you're absolutely fine to have kind of a plan B ready. So maybe just a tweak to your pitch, a little bit of a second idea of something else you could do. So maybe if you had two good ideas, you pitch the first one and you have the second one as a backup. See what they say, right? Because they might rebuttal. Now, if they say no, clear no, leave it at that, all right? Because they can always be somebody who you could contact next year, as long as you keep that relationship on the up and up, all right? And then just super briefly, the roles. This is by no means an exhaustive list of the roles in media, but for your part, mostly these are the folks you're going to be pitching to. So you're looking for these titles. Assignment editors are at the desk of most news organizations, and these are the people who send the camera people out, who send out journalists, who make sure that people actually end up in places so things can be covered. And so they often will receive these things, and that might be the person who assigns someone to your event. Maybe they will come out, or they might just put it in for a digital story. You never know. Remember, there's lots of opportunities, so you never know. Always try. Producers and segment producers are others. So again, for television, so breakfast shows, morning shows are a wonderful choice. Local shows for, again, to pitch to, and you're often looking for either the producer, but depending on the type of show, the producer might be a quite busy, unattainable person, but then you can look for a segment producer. That is, they are the ones who produce the specific part of the program that you want to be a part of, right? And then other than that, reporters / journalists, editors, section editors, again, mainly for print and digital publications. These are the folks who are deciding what makes it into the paper today, right? And they're planning early. So make sure that you're backing up at least several weeks from your date to make sure that you're giving these folks time to put you into the roster, to add you to the list of something that they think would be newsworthy for their listeners or readers. So as I finish off, just wanted to leave you with, you're going to hear about and watch some truly wonderful marketing materials that are available to help you. As I said, you do not have to be any kind of expert, not at all. And you will be able to produce such beautiful, beautiful creative that is going to serve you so, so well. So last, find the carrot, focus on the audience, determine those channels and process, promise me, and then make that media list, work that pitch, and boldly ask, you'll be great. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mercedes. Those are super useful tips. Really liked what you said about the importance of writing clear, simple language that will attract more people to your event. That's what we want. A reminder that we'll have time at the end with Mercedes to answer questions. And so definitely keep sending those through the Q&A chat box. And yes, the webinar is being recorded, and the presentation decks as well as the recording will be available in our webinars page next week. Okay, so let's move on to some Culture Day specific tools and materials that you can use to make your event promotions better and more successful. Okay, 1 second while I switch screens. Here we go. Send. Awesome. So we really encourage you to take advantage of the registration system and register early so you can get in our radar. If you register early, you can be part of communications and marketing campaigns from the national and regional Culture Days offices. Our teams look through the events listings as events come in. So we organize campaigns around them, and the sooner that you get your events in, the better chance you'll get to be included in our marketing and PR campaigns. Additionally, registering your event with Culture Days allows you to connect to thousands of other events across Canada and to new audiences. You can use the website's geolocating, search, and map systems that will attract attendees from your local areas. And you can also, like I mentioned, take part in Culture Days' annual multi-tiered advertising promo campaigns. So thanks to the support of our partners, Cineplex, CBC, Pattison Outdoor Advertising, each year, thousands of events are connected by this common thread. And very important thing to remember, you do not have to have every single detail confirmed of your event in order to register. You can always come back and edit and update closer to the event. Some quick reminders. So if you are a BC Culture Days organizer or an Ontario Culture Days organizer, listen up. There are provincial deadlines that will get you other benefits. So if you are in BC and you're registering your events before July 31st, that will guarantee you a BC Culture Days social media post. If you are registering a hub, that will also guarantee you social advertising and direct attention to your events through their inclusion in their province-wide PR pushes and regional releases. If you're an Ontario Culture Days organizer, register by July 31st, and then you'll be able to enjoy marketing benefits such as promotional event highlights and merch. Oh, cool. Okay, so we'll continue now with an overview of the Culture Days registration system and what we call the dashboard, and where this is where you register, publish, and edit your events or hubs, as well as access resources and marketing assets. There are many tools and resources available to you in your dashboard, and you can access this after creating a Culture Days account through the Culture Days website. This is a free account you can create by going to culturedays.ca/dashboard. Awesome. So you'll be able to find the dashboard at the top of the menu. If you don't see it right away in your screen, you have to click more and you'll see it there. But most likely, if you're looking at it from a computer, you'll be able to see it all the way to the right where it says dashboard. So this is the first part that you see when you get to your dashboard, and you'll see different tabs. Under register your event, under registration, if you click on events, here's where you can create new events, import events from last year, or return to events that you've created and edit them. So in the hubs tab, you can edit and create your hubs. So hubs are collections of activities that are all either organized by the same person or organization, or are connected geographically and or thematically. So when you click on hubs, you can create and edit those hubs, invite others to join your hubs. And the only thing to note here is that you will need a minimum of 3 published events linked to a hub page before it can be published. You can find a lot of useful things, including a registration step-by-step guide here in your dashboard, and you can download these directly from the dashboard homepage. They will be especially helpful if this is your first time filling out the registration forms. And again, any questions, you can always email us about that. Also, you can now create organizer and venue profiles. So if you're registering multiple events, you can select organizer and venue profiles that will autofill parts of the process. So you can save the location and organizer information in your account, and then you can autofill those corresponding fields when you're registering events. So this will be particularly handy for those registering many events that are taking place at the same venue or events organized by the same people. Also, very exciting new feature. You can actually now import information from your Eventbrite events. So if you already have an Eventbrite set up, all you have to do when you're registering your event, under tools, you'll see a space here where you can enter the Eventbrite URL at the top of the event registration, and then this will connect it to your Culture Days event. And this also includes the reserve your spot feature in Eventbrite. So the pre-registration button that shows up in Eventbrite will also show up in your Culture Days events page, which is really neat. And remember that you can always check the status of your events. You can save them, publish them, delete them by looking at this icon over here to the right as you're registering events. Awesome. So back at the dashboard under registration tabs again, you will see a list of tools that under promote your event. So these are some additional tools that will help you promote your events, starting with resources. So in resources here, you can download all fonts, customizable posters, social media and digital assets, and more materials that are part of our newly released Culture Days 2023 marketing campaign kit, which Chris will demo shortly and how to use. Another handy tool are widgets. So widget tool makes it easy for you to embed events into your own third-party websites. So you can choose from your own published events or collections, and our system will generate some short code for you to embed that. And the nice part about this is that you can make changes at your events through the systems, and then it'll automatically update on your site as well. Awesome. And then the last tool we'll talk about for now is collections. So collections is a very cool feature that allows you to save and share groups of Culture Days events. You can add these events to your collection by clicking on the share button as you're looking to the event listing. This is a bit different than hubs. So collections are not published in our own public listing. However, collections that you create will have a unique URL link that you can share with others. So this can be used as a type of scheduling tool for your events that perhaps you wish to attend or that you wish to share with others. But it's also a way to gather related events by theme, by location, and then share them with members of your community. And you can create as many collections as you like. You can mix match events as you please. And this is what a collection would look like. So now I am going to invite my colleague Chris, and she'll be able to show us exactly what the marketing materials look like and how to build your own.
All right. Hello.
Chris.
Hi. All right, so the Culture Days 2023 creative campaign is now live, and you can access a suite of tools. Or are we still sharing the presentation? Yeah, thank you. We can access a suite of tools, resources, and templates to help you spread the word about your events. So in your dashboard, you will find the 2023 campaign posters, digital ads, and other general Culture Days promotional materials. You can download customizable marketing materials, and you can edit on your graphic design program of your choice. So we recommend checking out Canva or Adobe Express because they're free online design tools. And we'll demonstrate shortly how to use Canva, as it's a user-friendly website where you can upload images directly add text, graphics, and more. So as you build your promo materials, you can reference the Culture Days Organizer Design Guide for helpful examples and tips on how to use the Culture Days fonts, shapes, and templates. You can find this guide in your dashboard resources, and you can download it in the Media Kit. So in the Culture Days 2023 Marketing Campaign Kit, you will find Culture Days logos and fonts. So our materials use a custom font called Metropolis, which you can download through the dashboard resources and install according to the program you'll be using, like Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Adobe, Canva. And the other font we use is Sugo, but this is not available, but can be replaced with Impact. And Impact is on most computers. The Culture Days 2023 campaign posters are also in there. You'll be able to find the posters, social media assets, digital ads, and build your own materials and stock promo images in there as well. And there's also a section on building your own materials. So this folder contains shapes and campaign elements, square templates, and photo frames for social. And I'll demonstrate how to use these materials in Canva. Great. So I'm going to share my screen. So to take you through the demo, just give me a moment. All right. So in here, this is what your Canva looks like. I have a few examples up. You can just type in canva.com, go to the website, and they have a few options for sizes. So I'm just in the Instagram post size, which is that square. So in our first example here, we have this banner available for download. So what you can do is you can just upload it. So there's a section called uploads on the side here. Just drag and drop any photo or anything you want to upload into Canva. It will go right here. So you can grab that banner from our media kit and then just add your own photo. So I'll show you how you can add a photo. So it'll be in your uploads. I just have a folder set aside for this demo where I can grab my photo and just drag it in, and it will autofill to the size of your background there. The other way you can do it, if you don't want to fill the whole thing, just drag it more towards the center and you can resize it as you like. You can also play around with the layer. So if you make it a bit bigger here and it's over top of your banner, you just go up to the top position, and then you can drag it to be underneath the banner. All right, so here's another example. So you might want to make posts that have specific information to your events. So have your headline, your date and time, and all of that. So I can show you how to kind of put one of these together with our assets. So you would add your photo. And you want to create this banner. So you can go up to the left side here, and there's a section called Elements. And so there's a bunch of free things for you to use in here. So I'm just going to grab the square from Lines and Shapes. And you can just resize it and color it as you like. There's the colors at the top here. And now I want to add my text. So I want to put the event name. So I'll drag and drop, and you can see Canva gives you these helpful guidelines so you know when things are centered. I'm going to change that to Impact by going up to the top here for the fonts. And I'm going to change the size as well, make it bigger. And I'm going to say my event. And you can paste things, align them at the top here. So I also want to put in a logo. So it will be in your uploads. You can upload it, download it from our media kit. I have it in my folder, and I'm going to just drag and drop it, and you can resize it. And the last thing I want to add is those campaign shapes, which again, you can download from our media kit. And I want to rotate this one. So I'm going to grab this round shape at the bottom. And resize it a bit. And there you go. It's a rough version of my event. You can also just add more text for the rest of the information. And there's all sorts of lines and shapes you can use from the elements section of Canva. Another thing that you can do, so let's say I have this template, I put my photo in behind, and I decide that it's kind of hard to read this black text. So if you have something in there and you want to change it, with Canva, you can just drag and drop. So I just replaced it with the white one, and it will resize to what you already have. So it's just an easy way to change things in and out in Canva. And the last thing I'll show you here is the circular photo. So if you want a circular photo shape, or there's lots of different shapes, you can go back up to elements. So there's a section called frames down here, or you can just search something if you don't see it right away. But I'm going to pull in the circular photo frame. It'll kind of have this cloud and green grass. That's how you know it's a frame. And then I'm going to go back to my photo, drag and drop, and it will be right in there, and I can just remove this. And there you have it. So if there's anything else, if you're having trouble with it, we are here to help. So if you have any questions or need help putting together your marketing materials or graphics, you can reach us at info@culturedays.ca, so you can email us. So stop sharing that. And I'm going to welcome back Fernanda and Mercedes to answer any questions that you might have.
Thanks so much, Chris. That was awesome. Amazing. Okay, thank you everyone that has been participating in the chat and sending us your questions. We do have, Mercedes, a few right off the top that I think we can get started with. So someone's asking, what are some ideas for Culture Days involving a radio station? Maybe how can they get involved? Are there any thoughts you have on that?
Is that you are a radio station?
I believe so, yeah.
You are, and how to participate in Culture Days?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a great question. We've had broadcasters participate in the past, and broadcasters, sometimes what they've done is some of the ideas they've done are behind the scenes tours, workshops, because people want to do the stuff that you do. You're a radio station. So if you, I'm pretty sure you could put together something about producing audio, whether it's, getting into radio or getting into podcasting, like transitioning, or some sort of behind the scenes. People really love a station, a broadcast station, a radio station is just not a place you get to go. So if I would go along those lines. Otherwise, the other way that broadcasters or other media sometimes participate is by helping to put on an artist, right? Or put on a presentation. So they will sponsor, they will kind of, surround the event and kind of create the infrastructure around it. And then help them to sort of put it on and partner with them. So yeah, there's a lot of great ideas, but access seems to be a nice one for media.
Oh, sorry, it was muted. I really like that idea. I think besides anything behind the scenes that brings people another look of how exciting it is, a radio station would be awesome, and people would be excited to participate, of course.
I love that.
Great. We have another one. So in terms of pitching, Mercedes, do you have any advice if you're dealing with key talent or an influencer or maybe government? So the example here says that their friend is an Order of Canada recipient, and they've agreed to participate in the launch. So they want to make sure that the media coverage is up to par. What are your recommendations there?
So when you have someone of note, right? So if someone is involved in your event or presentation or workshop or whatever that has a name or something attached, do not be afraid to use that person as the hook. It could be that they are the draw. Their participation or their contribution is the draw to your event. So feel free to use that as your carrot. But have a second one ready as well. Why? Because it may be that the person, it's not that they're not relevant or important, maybe not right now, or that's not the angle they want to go for. So but they might be interested otherwise. So make sure that you have a second thing that's ready that just sort of talks about your event and what you're doing, and make sure that is still all really well put together, because we don't just want to say, oh, you can come and talk to this important person. They might be like, that's nice, but we're TV, so that's not very interesting for us. So instead you would say, this person will be participating, like they'll be available for comment and they'll be there to talk to you, but here's all of the other cool things that are happening in the meantime. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. And then make sure that sometimes when you're dealing with someone who's a VIP or who has a really busy schedule, make sure you figure out their availability before you start pitching, because the worst is to pitch them and then they're like, sorry, I'm not available then.
Right.
And now you've sort of sullied the relationship there. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, super useful. Thanks, Mercedes. Okay, another question. So I live in a pretty remote area. I would like to have my events draw people from other regions. Mercedes, what are your recommendations on connecting with others, building messaging to attract media attention, like events like that, maybe in remote communities and
Yeah,
areas?
so I'll tell you this, remote communities are probably more covered, or smaller communities are more covered by media than the larger places. So I'm going to say to you, actually have a slight advantage, because the bigger areas are so loud, right? There's a lot going on. There's lots and lots and lots happening. And so sometimes media is like, yeah. So you're actually in an advantaged position. How do you reach out? Just reach out. Email somebody if you'd like to work with them, if you're curious, if you see that they're doing something, just reach out. Email them, reach out respectfully. Hi, this is what I'm doing for Culture Days. I think we could really work together. What do you think? Let's have a conversation and talk about how we can maybe leverage each other to help, right? So it's also helpful. The hubs are a great idea. So you can kind of create your own sort of hub in the way that you can say, you can come here, here, and here in this area. So just like drive into the area or bus into the area, and then you can go to our 3 events while you come. So you can spend a few hours and you can go to mine and hers and his and have a really good time. So think of things like that as well, where you kind of can sell it as a package, right? As an outing, a day out. And never be afraid to let certain groups know that, hey, this is for you. So if it is for families, or it's tailored for children, or it's great for older adults, or for those with physical challenges, say so that people know and they can come out to your event. But don't be afraid to reach out to people and ask. If they say no, that's okay. Try somebody else. For the most part, also look for those who are sort of lateral to you, right? So I really am a huge advocate of lateral collaboration. So it's like, you're not higher than me and I'm not higher than you. We're kind of at the same spot. And if we work together, we really can boost each other. Yeah. So just don't be afraid to reach out to folks. Yeah.
Yeah, super useful tips too. I'm going to read out a couple of questions that we had. These are more Culture Days registration system related, but might be useful for folks. They were answered directly on the chat, so I'll just read them out. So if organizers have the event date and time confirmed, but the location is yet to be confirmed, can you still register your event? So you can begin drafting your event in the system without having the location ready. And once it's confirmed, you can click location and publish, and we'll review it. However, because our geolocating listing is relying on location, we do ask that you have that location confirmed to be able to publish, just so that it can be delivered to that regional audience on the site. Then someone asked about where they could find the brand guidelines. So right now, when we mentioned the organizer designed guide is available in the dashboard. So in your dashboard resources, as well as the marketing kit. If you download all of the kit, you will also download the guide. So you can access it there. And then another question about, okay, so we have a series of events in French across Saskatchewan organized by various partners. Would this be considered a hub? Will it be worth making it a hub? So certainly it sounds like an option. You can always contact us specifically and we can walk through the details on that. But it is very useful to create hubs to make sure that those events are connected. Your partners are sharing the event listing, and you can cross promote, cross amplify your events as much as possible. And you can actually find a French marketing toolkit with materials in French and resources as well. And then we are going to be releasing more language options later in July. Great. Let me just check if there are any other questions marketing related. Okay, so for Eventbrite, yes, you are allowed to do the pay what you may admission for register events, and you can learn more about it on our site, but that will be connected to Eventbrite as well. And someone asked, why is Quebec not one of the options in our list? So our sister celebration in Quebec is called Les Journées, which is part of Culture Days and how it started. They have separate event system, but you can certainly participate through them in Les Journées. Great. So I think we are good with questions. Thank you so much, Mercedes, for all of your insight. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. And go on the website. There's a more comprehensive public relations guide there where you can get lots more information about how to pitch.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Mercedes. That's great for you to mention. So before we leave, just have a few last reminders, including looking at our resources page. Great. So on our resources page, you can actually access a variety of toolkits and guides, including frequently asked questions, the organizer guide on how to participate, programming ideas, the public relations guide that Mercedes just mentioned, as well as the organizer design guide. You'll access that through the brand logos and campaign materials, as well as our dashboard and the kit, as we mentioned. So definitely recommend you checking out the resources available. You can find those at culturedays.ca/resources. And connect with us. So right now on the screen, you can find our email address and social media channels to stay connected, but we also encourage you to look for your regional Culture Days office and follow them in their social media channels, their newsletters for those region and territory specific opportunities. And once again, if you are an organizer in Ontario or British Columbia, make sure to register your events by July 31st for the chance to be included in their provincial marketing and PR campaigns. And last thing, Alberta Culture Days will once again be celebrated from September 1st to the 30th, and to align the month of the artist in Alberta. So organizers in Alberta, you'll be able to register activities through the national registration system for events occurring on and after September 22nd. And last but certainly not least, join us on July 13th, same time, same place, online, for a webinar with Creative Connector. They are online arts hub for deaf and disabled artists and creatives. And in this webinar, they'll be sharing knowledge and approaches on how to offer inclusive and accessible arts and culture programming in your communities. So if you're interested, you can find the Zoom registration link on our social, and we'll share it in the chat shortly as well. So thank you so much for being here today. And again, don't hesitate to contact us for any other information. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day.